Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
Kenny Payne, man, this one is hard to talk about because
bad timing
Kenny
for him,
Payne
or
retired.
bad timing for this episode, I guess.
Yeah, horrible timing for this episode. And exhibition games generally don't mean anything. But for Louisville and Kenny Payne, they mean something when you lose to Kentucky Wesleyan, a D2 team that was picked to finish 8th in the Great Lakes or whatever the hell conference.
Great Midwest. I think it's Great Midwest Conference.
Great Midwest. Thank you.
Is Borzello old enough to remember the actual Great Midwest Conference back when it was?
Absolutely not. No,
probably not.
No.
Probably not. No,
dude,
no,
that was
no
Louisville.
Do you see this hair, Doug? How old do you think I am?
Louisville, Marquette, Cincinnati. It was basically the Metro became the Great Midwest, and then the Big East. When the Big East expanded, it took away their top team. Sorry, there's your history lesson on the Great Midwest Conference.
Well, I'll give you a history lesson on Kenny Payne as a head coach at Louisville. He went 4-28 last season. 4-28. He's under contract.
It wasn't just
through
that.
2000. Yeah, no, they were getting blown out. They were getting absolutely blown out. And then he kind of flipped it in the offseason, right? They didn't have guards last year. I mean, they were a disaster last year. And he flipped it and has a completely different roster. Now, he decided to go young, which I don't personally understand. Bringing in a bunch of freshmen and, that's not the way. He has to win this year, and going young is not the way to win this season. Well, they lose last night, and now the fan base is up in arms because, again, you can't lose to Kentucky Wesleyan when you're coming off a year like they're coming off of. To me, Kenny Payne's in major, major trouble. Even though he's one of their own, he is, again, one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. But I will say this. When he was hired, I was like, I don't understand it. He had been an assistant coach at Kentucky for Calipari, which is about as good a job and easy a job as it gets, and Oregon for Nike, which is about as easy a job as it gets. So I just felt like he should have been a mid-major head coach before he took over at his alma mater at Louisville. And now, to me, I don't know what he needs to do to be able to get a year 3, but I don't know if I see any of it happening. Whatever it needs to happen, I don't think he's going to accomplish it this year.
What concerns me about Louisville is that part of the, I guess, reason for some level of optimism going into the season was a pretty soft non-league schedule. I mean, they have a couple of marquee games, but they opened the season against UMBC, Chattanooga, and Coppin State all at home, which theoretically should be 3 winnable games, get some confidence going. I mean, remember last year they lost, what was it, their first 11 games, first 9 games of the season? This should have been a way to just kind of flip that and change the narrative a little bit in the first few weeks. And losing at home to Kentucky Wesleyan, and the thing, it wasn't even a game where like Kentucky Wesleyan got hot, made 15 3-pointers. Kentucky Wesleyan wasn't they shot like 36% and made 7 threes or something like that. Turned it over a bunch of times, and so it's kind of scary that games that are supposed to be building confidence, and it's now they're going into the real season, the regular season, with another exhibition loss, second year in a row that they've lost to a D2 team at home in the exhibition. The talent level is better than last year, still not all that high. And now you have just, again, a really negative vibe, negative feeling going into the season.
They have a stretch in their schedule, okay, where they play Pepperdine, who's pretty good in the West Coast Conference. They play Kentucky, at Virginia, Pittsburgh, at Miami, NC State, at North Carolina, at Wake, versus Duke, Virginia, at Clemson, Florida State, at Syracuse. Like, that's a holy crap. The one that, I don't know, you felt like it was a bad sign when Milt Wagner's on the staff, and they can't get his grandson to play for him. That's and I understand Kentucky is Kentucky, but like, wow, that's a hard one to take. And then, like you said, you're trying to play with younger players. Like, that's not a recipe for you do that. And I'm sure after every loss, you'll come in and, hey, we're really young. Like, that's great, Kenny. They don't care at Louisville. They don't really care about how nice a guy you are. You know, they just don't. They
Not
want to
anymore.
win basketball
Right.
games. And they definitely want to win more when the guy down the street is a little bit struggling. Like they want to get back kind of on top. So that's the stretch there. But I agree with you, Jeff. Like they didn't look well coached, you know. And I like Danny Manning. I think he's a good dude. I think he knows ball a lot. But they really didn't look well coached. There was a stretch in the middle to end of the season where they did fight back a little bit, won a couple games, and looked like, hey, you know what? But I don't know, man. It's Louisville. They don't mess around there. They want to win. They want to win now. They don't care about anything else. And you couldn't get Milt Wagner's grandson to come play for you, and he's playing down the road. That stretch in the middle season will tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I don't see a year 3 coming for Kenny Payne. I just don't. I think, again, the fan base is not going to be happy with 12 wins. You know, even though it goes from 4 to 12, which let's say they win 12 games.
Right. And anybody
that
else is like, what a turnaround. Yes.
Right. Yes. Who cares? Like, you got to get in the NCAA. I mean, at least get in the NIT, which I don't even know. Yeah.
I mean, if you saw his quotes after the game, he said we're not going to out-talent teams. We're not going to have more talent than our opponents. And it's like, you're at Louisville. I mean, you should be
play
able
Kentucky
to have more talent than your
Wesleyan.
opponents.
Of course you get more talent.
I mean, you should have more talent than 80% of the teams you play at the very minimum, just based on who you are, and NIL, and all that stuff.
Borzello, didn't he say that a player on his team should have more rebounds when he didn't play
slightly out of context? Slightly out of context. He named like 3 veterans and said they need to have more than 1 or 2 rebounds. He got it. He grouped him into a group of 3. But yes, he did mention him, even though
hard to get a rebound when you're not in the court. You know,
correct.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.